Parshas Shoftim contains the mitzvah of appointing a king on the people of Israel after they enter the land. The king has certain requirements, certain prohibitions. Among the requirements is that he write a copy of the Sefer Torah in Perek Yud Zayin, Pasuk Yud Ches, 17:18. The verse says, "Vayokish shivto al kisei mamlachto," and it will be when he sits on the throne of his kingdom, v'chasav lo es mishnei Torah zos al sefer, that he will write for himself a copy of this law in a book, milifnei kohanim halavim, out of that which is before the priests, the Levites. So what's the purpose of this Sefer Torah, of this extra Torah? And Rashi comments, Mishneh HaTorah, Shtei Sifrei Torah, two scrolls, two Torah scrolls. Achas shehi munachas beveis kenosav, one that is kept among his valuables and his treasure, va'achas shenichnesas v'yotza imo, and the other that goes and comes with him. He carries the Sefer Torah with him, according to Rashi. So, what's the deal? What's the purpose? Well, fortunately, the very next verse tells us what the purpose of this additional Sefer Torah is. One that can be immediately accessible and not remotely available. That's in the following verse. V'hisah imo v'karovo kol yemei chayav. It will be with him and he'll read it. He'll read from it or in it all the days of his life. L'ma'an yilmad liyira es Hashem Elokav. So that, here's the purpose, so that he may learn to fear Hashem his God. Lishmor es kol divrei haTorah azos ve'es hachukim ha'ele la'asosam. To keep all the words of this law and the statutes to do them. Okay, so the purpose of this second Sefer Torah that he has to carry with him all the time is that he resort to it and study from it regularly. Why is he studying from it? The Torah says, "L'ma'an yomad liyiras Hashem Elokav," so that he will learn to fear the Lord, his God. Now, is he not already a God-fearing Jew? When God appoints a melech directly or through a navi, whether it's Shaul or David or Shlomo, he picks somebody who's already Yarei Shemayim. Unfortunately, the navi, melachim, is filled with examples of melachim, of kings, who were not Yarei Shemayim, who did not fear heaven. So we can ask a question. If somebody is already God-fearing, then does he need to learn to fear God? And if someone is already either an Oved Avodah Zarah, he serves foreign worship, pagan worship, or is otherwise a corrupt individual, then what good is having this Sefer Torah? Is he even going to follow the law? He's not following the law already. He's a scoffer. He's a scofflaw. So what good does this Sefer Torah do? Either the king is already there, and he's been validated by the appointment of the Almighty. It doesn't get any better than that. Or he's not there, and he likely isn't going to get there. Rav Schwab asks a variation of this question, and he says that somebody who is already a Yarei Shemayim, somebody who's already has the fear of God, once he gets appointed to a position of power, it presents new challenges. And that position, that elevation, can quickly serve to degrade what was a perfectly good Yiras Shamayim before the appointment, but all of a sudden someone goes from being a commoner or even a prince and becomes the king, he could develop a chronic case of hubris. In fact, the next verse, Pasuk Chaf, number 20, verse 20, says, Levilti rum levavo me'achav, so that his heart will not be lifted up above his brothers, ulevilti sur min hamitzvah yomin u'shmol, and that he not turn away from the commandment to the right or to the left. Lama'an ya'arich yomim mamachto hu'vanav b'kerev Yisrael, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel. So we see that there is a danger of rum levavo, of a haughty heart, of hubris, of pride, of arrogance, which is generally speaking at odds with the goal of being a Yoreh Shamayim, of being fearful of heaven. Okay, what does this have to do with us? We can distill the principle to the core message, which is, person may be competent, may be righteous, may be pious in one set of circumstances, but when faced with a different set of circumstances, it's a new avoda, it's a new work, it's new working on himself to achieve a level of piety and righteousness and fear of heaven along the lines that he had before the change in circumstances. Now, frequently, this will happen when a person is elevated. It could happen when a person is demoted as well. But opportunity and elevation and wealth bring new challenges. Rav Schwab cites the Berachas HaChodesh, Rosh Chodesh benching, as an example. The Rosh Chodesh benchings, in the Rosh Chodesh benching, we ask for that the month be filled with good, with peace, with long life, with blessing, with parnasa, with health. And there is the phrase, Chaim sheyesh bohem yiras shamayim v'yiras chet, life that has in it, within it, fear of heaven and the fear of sin. And then we go on. We say, Chaim she'ein bohem busha chlima. We ask for a life that has no embarrassment or humiliation. Chaim shel osher v'chavod, a life of wealth and honor. And then we say, Chaim she'tevano avas Torah v'yiras shamayim, a life in which we have a love of Torah and a fear of heaven. Well, we just asked for a fear of heaven before. But Rav Schwab observes that the first request for fear of heaven was before we asked for wealth and honor. Wealth and honor bring power. They bring the ability to do all kinds of good things, but not only good things. They bring power. And when a person has power and he's not helpless, there is a challenge to connect to God. As the saying goes, there are no atheists in foxholes. And the less of a foxhole you're in, the more distant a person can grow from a fear of heaven and a mindfulness of heaven, a mindfulness of God. The Navi talks about it, how when Bnei Yisrael got Vayishman Yeshur and Vayivot, that as the Jews got successful, they rejected the Almighty. So that is an ever-present danger. Success breeds challenges. It breeds opportunity, and it also brings potential obstacles. And that's something that we need to overcome through Yiras Shamayim. So if a person is inclined, is open to, is looking for Yiras Shamayim, and we assume that's the case with a righteous king, then if he has the Sefer Torah and he reads it with new eyes, His eyes are that of not an ordinary person, but those of an ordinary person, but those of a king. When a person goes from being either poor or just ordinarily endowed and becomes wealthy, he has new eyes and he has new challenges. And so we need to meet the new challenges with a renewed effort, even if the territory is territory that we believe we have conquered in the past. Now, this is implicit in the bracha that we frequently give to people when they achieve new positions, when a person gets engaged, when a person gets married, when a person has a child, on all kinds of simchas. What do we say? Mazal tov. Mazal tov. That's a very curious bracha. Mazal tov. Good luck. We wish a person good luck. Chazal say, Ein mazal sholet b'Yisrael. Mazal, luck, doesn't control. We're not controlled by natural senses of destiny and fate and luck and chance. Why is it that at the moments of highest joy, spiritual joy in a person's life, we traditionally wish them Mazal Tov, good luck? I heard once from my friend David Nadoff, I hope I remember this correctly because it was many years ago, in the name of the Shalah, who said that and I've seen the reference, not the total package, but I've seen the reference in other works as well, that the language of Mazal Tov is not a language of a good mazal, like constellation, as in Oved Kochavim Umazalo, somebody who worships the stars and the constellations, but rather from the language of flowing, like Yizal Katal Imrosi, may my words flow like dew. And we know that when a person is in a certain position and things are going in a certain way, he has a certain flow. There's a certain flow. If we're spiritually inclined, we say there's a certain flow from above. And when his position changes, whether it's a physical position or a spiritual position, we know that there is this notion of mishaneh makom, mishaneh mazal. When a person changes place, he changes his mazal. What is that mazal? It doesn't mean his luck. And it doesn't automatically mean that he changes for good. Why? Because when a person changes his position, he catches the rays a little bit differently. And when we say Mazal Tov, we say this is a great moment. This is a moment of tremendous potential. And when we wish Mazal Tov, Mazel Tov, what we're saying is that the change that you've made should enable you to catch a good flow, that you should hold on to, reach, grasp, catch all of the abundance that comes with this new position and galvanize it in a positive direction. I just want to close by saying that this Parshas Shoftim, I first became Rav of the Young Israel of West Rogers Park 26 years ago on Parshas Shoftim. I spoke about the Sefer Torah of the king. I honestly don't remember. I might be able to remember if I think about it hard, but I don't remember what I said at the time. But I want to wish myself and everybody else Mazel Tov. Have a good Shabbos.